Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Smile. Today's guest is Abby Calabrese. Abby is the creator and host of the Alcohol Free Rebellion podcast and the voice behind Alcohol Free Abby on Instagram. A mum of two young boys, she spent years living the work hard, play hard lifestyle in New York City. High pressure sales roles by day and partying by night, convinced this was what everyone did. Now, over time, drinking became a crutch for Abby and a way to cope and numb life stresses. But now, approaching 2 years alcohol-free, Abby helps women rethink alcohol, heal from their pasts, and discover how to live with presence, joy, and real freedom. Now, I had the absolute pleasure of joining Abby recently on her podcast, and we had such a fun time. So I am really excited to bring you guys this conversation today. So without any further delay, Abby, welcome to Behind the Smile. How are you today?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be back here. It's just so fun we get to do part two now.
I know. I got up early this morning. I was like having a shower and getting ready, and I was like, yay, I get to chat to Abby again today. So it's always nice when you hit it off with a guest, and especially when we live on other sides of the world. Like, I just think that's so cool.
It's so
Amazing. So, well, let's let people know where you live. We'll kick it off. Can you share where you live, what an average day looks like, and what you do for fun, Abby?
Yeah, so I live right outside of Philadelphia. So I'm on the East Coast of the United States. From my bio, you can hear I lived in New York City for 11 years and we kind of came down this way. So I tell people now I live in the country. Not really, but it feels like it compared to New York. I have a big yard and there's deer and it's lovely. Oh yeah, it's I think it's the country. It's the suburbs.
Total
It's
country to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a woodland fairy tale out here. Yeah, my typical day is a little bit wild right now, and we might get into that as we continue to talk. But I've really been in a career transition. So I was in sales roles, I was capital raising for companies and real estate investments, and all of that was really high pressure. And I was using a lot of alcohol to deal with all of that. And coinciding with my sobriety journey, I really took a pause and I had to reevaluate where all of that was going. Is that truly aligned? And I am, in the process started building, I can't sit still. So I started building out the podcast and what I'm doing on Instagram and working with a lot of different brands. And I'm just so passionate about this space. So I'm really, kind of trying to see where my next move is going to be, but probably something a bit more aligned.
Yeah, I love
And then
that.
remind me of the third question.
What do you do for fun?
My gosh, so much now. My whole world has opened up. So a lot of yoga movement is just huge for me, especially outside, anytime I can get outside. So lots of walks, lots of yoga. I love just experiencing new things. So finding new, dinners that are going on. A lot of chefs in the Philly area will put together dinners and you can go kind of try new foods and meet new people.
Mm.
So I'm always just looking for fun ways to get out. Music is usually involved in some way, meeting people. And then, of course, I have two little boys. So I'm also a mom, and that takes up a lot of my time as well.
Yeah, amazing. I love what you were saying about it sounds like removing alcohol from your life has not removed the fun and the socialization. How do you navigate that? Was it tricky at first to be able to go into these old environments and not drink alcohol?
Yes, I was a fish out of water. And I am naturally just someone who, which you know by now, likes to talk a lot. I just bring a lot of energy. I
Mm.
love socializing. But it was just all surrounding alcohol. I just
Mhm.
always had alcohol involved. And so I knew deep down this is really who I was because this is who I was before I started drinking as well. I love being on a stage. I was a dancer, performer. I'm always a chatty person. It's just who I am. So I knew deep down that was who I was. But like you said, those early couple times going out without alcohol, I was literally like, what do I do with my hands? How do I talk to people? It rocked my confidence a little bit. But then pretty quickly, I just started thinking, you know what? just do it. Just pretend for a little bit like you already had a drink, or just pretend it was like placebo effect. Like pretend this
Mm.
is a drink, even though it's an NA, whatever. And it just started coming back to me. And then it was just reps. Like after, a couple times going out into new situations, I was like, I got this. This feels comfortable again. But it really was uncomfortable for, I'd say, like the first 6 months to a year.
Yeah, totally. I always look back at that first 6 to 12 months for me, and I feel really lucky in a way that it was COVID. So I didn't have any, well, there was nothing open because we were in lockdown, and I didn't have any weddings that I had to attend. I didn't have any birthdays, and so I really feel like I got that first 12 months just to focus on not picking up a drink one day at a time. And then by the time I did go to that first wedding, I think I was maybe about 13 months sober. I felt so much more confident within myself. It was still difficult. I was the only one not drinking. My ex-husband and his entire friendship group were there. Like it was, it was uncomfortable, but I think my why had become so strong at that point. Like I just knew that I was not going to drink no matter what, and I continued coming back to that because it would be dishonest of me to say that there weren't moments of that evening where I thought to myself, I'd love to have a drink right now. I remember going into the girls' bathrooms and some of the girls were racking up lines, and I was thinking, like, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Because that's that part of my brain. I'd been doing it for 20 years and I'd only been sober for 13 months. Of course I was still going to have those thoughts, but really coming back to that, why am I not doing this anymore? I just, no matter what, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to have to
I
start
know.
counting days again. And that's something as well that I found really helpful when in those situations. I'm curious, do you have any environments where you won't go now, or do you feel like you can go anywhere and there's not a problem?
It's dependent. I
Mm,
sometimes even the same environment, just given my mood or what's going on,
mm,
will just trigger me. And I'm like, I
mm,
don't want to be here. This doesn't feel good. It just starts to feel a little like, I would even say like unsafe. Just
mm.
because my sobriety is so important to me. That is like I protect that like it's my baby. And so if I feel like unsafe to the point where I'm like, oh, this is not like you kind of feel it in your stomach. I don't know if you kind of know
Mhm,
what I'm talking about. Like that
mhm.
intuition, this is not it. And to me, like that just resonated with me what you said, because it's like, oh, this isn't worth it. Like I'm
Mm.
not gonna drink. And so I could sit here and be uncomfortable in this, or I could just peace out because there's absolutely no way I'm drinking to get through this. Do you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes. There's never a reason why a drink would be a good idea if you've committed to a life of sobriety. I was
Right.
actually just chatting to someone about this yesterday. She's going through a lot emotionally and she's got a lot of anger and resentment. And I said to her, this feeling that you're feeling right now is going to pass. But if you were to pick up a drink right now over this feeling, it's that classic saying about resentments, drinking the poison, hoping the other person is dying. That's literal in this sense. Like you're drinking poison, you're drinking alcohol, but you're the one that's going to get hurt from that behavior. You're the one that's going to feel crappy about yourself the next day, disappointed, full of shame. Like it's not worth it. The feeling will pass. It always does.
Mhm. Mhm. I
Yeah.
mean, I honestly, that's something I've learned in the last year. I'm approaching
Mm,
40, and in the last year, I've really started to understand emotions and
mm,
feelings and
mm,
and the fact that they pass, because I never gave myself a chance to learn any of this. It
mm,
was just uncomfortable emotion, drink. Like really happy emotion, drink. Really like no matter what it was, there was drinking involved. It was just a constant in my life. So I really had no frame of reference. So it sounds kind of silly. I mean, it's like I'm a little kid, but I'm like, this feels really bad. This feels really big. This feels huge. And then seeing for the first time how it's like, a cloud, and it does
mhm,
pass. And then you're building that muscle. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. When it happens again, well, this happened a month or so ago and it passed. This isn't going to be forever. And this is all going on in my head. But it's
mhm,
really the first time that I've seen this play out and really let these feelings and emotions flow through. And I'm still hit with new stuff that's coming my way that I'm like, whoa, 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 what is this? This is a new one. But allowing it to play out and kind of observe what's going on more so than feel like I'm riding these waves and like have
mm,
no control over anything. It's just a
mm.
whole different perspective on my entire life.
It's so cool when you can almost step outside of yourself to become the witness, to be the observer, and to go, oh, wow, this is what's playing out right now. And rather than identifying with those feelings, I am sad, it's like, I'm experiencing sadness right now. One is an identity that's fixed, the other is something that is malleable, that is going to move through you. And really trusting, this has been a big piece for me, that emotions are feedback. And I truly believe they're a sign from God, they're a sign from spirit. It's like this thing greater than me trying to catch my attention. Whether that's sadness, anger, fear, like, oh, okay, like what is this that I need to look at rather than be consumed by?
100%. You know what a big one is with me lately? Especially
Mm.
because I'm in this career pivot, which is it's a new thing for me. I've been go, 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 achieve. I had a lot of my, self-worth tied up with that. So I'll see someone doing something cool in this space, the alcohol free, and I get a little ping and I'm like, is that jealousy? And before
Yes.
I would go, oh my gosh, I'm just a jealous person, and I'd beat myself up. Well, now I'm like, well, look at that. It's like a compass. And I'm like, I want that. Oh my gosh, how cool. That's great. And I get to start working
Yes.
towards that, and I get to cheer them on, and I get to just keep going down that way. And it's like a full body yes. And it's like,
Yeah.
just even that, look at how you can take something that you might have beaten yourself up for, or thought of it as a negative, and turned it into, that's just telling you you're pointed right in the right direction. Keep going. Like, that's
It's
incredible.
It's so cool. What that reminds me of is there's this literature in 12-step recovery. It's called the spiritual experience. And basically the overarching message is that, if you choose to have this spiritual experience, if you do the work and take the action, you'll be rewarded with what is a profound alteration to your reaction to life. So it's like the world around us doesn't change, but we change, and we get to change for the better. And so the exact same experience or circumstance can happen in sobriety, and you no longer react in that negative, low vibe manner. It's high vibration, it's positive. I was even thinking about this morning. This is going to sound so ridiculous. I was thinking about my husband and how much I love him, which sounds, like, I don't know.
Oh,
But I
that's so
was really thinking to myself, I thought, there is not a single thing I can fault about this man. And then I thought to myself, but isn't it interesting? Because he's by no means perfect. It's me, it's my perception of him that has changed from previous relationships where, I was coming from a place of negativity, probably because I didn't feel great about myself, low self esteem, jealousy, whatever was playing out at the time. And so therefore I project my shit onto that person, whether that was my poor ex-husband or any other ex-boyfriend I've ever had, projecting my stuff onto them. And it's the finger pointing, and it's like, well, you haven't done this and you haven't met my needs and you're not, whatever, fill in the blank. And now I realize, of course, I think that my husband is an amazing person. That helps. And he does the work himself. So I think that's a really big difference there. But also I have changed. I choose to see the good, and I choose to, and it's not even an effort. I'm not thinking to myself, I've got to be positive today. Like, it is just this natural way that I perceive life and the people around me. It's so refreshing. Like, it's such a gift of sobriety.
my gosh. It's just easier, right? Like,
Mm,
everything felt very critical for
yes.
most of my life, and like you said, and then I was critical of others, and it was a hard way to live. Just constantly this checklist of things that were wrong, and this was wrong, and this person did this to me. I took everything personally. I took people pulling in front of me in traffic personally. It's like,
Yes.
honey, they don't even know you. What are you talking about? But you couldn't convince me of that back then. Like,
Mm, mm.
I was a mess. I didn't know. I really
Mm.
didn't.
The traffic example is such a cool one. I remember someone saying to me once, someone cuts you off in traffic and your immediate reaction is, fuck you, or you get really angry and defensive. And then all of a sudden, someone says to you, actually, their child was having a severe asthma attack and they were trying to get to the hospital. And all of a sudden, your perspective is shifted. And it's like, oh my goodness, go. Like, please go ahead. Isn't it crazy? We're always, not we, I shouldn't say it as a collective because that's not true. Many people, I believe, do live from this place of the world is out to get me. And it's this real almost like I have to put my defenses up and I can't let people get too close. And I think alcohol really fuels that narrative.
For sure. And I will say, I have so much compassion for that version of me too. Like,
Yeah.
through all of this work that I've done, I'm like, well, no wonder I'm shocked you were able to do what you did, Like there was just all of these wounds and things that weren't healed. And I was just literally going back to the driving med. I was holding on to that steering wheel for dear
Mm,
life. And so I did the best that I could, but my gosh, like being able
mm.
to now, really work through that and experience life fully. I just can't even imagine going back to that. That's just never an option.
Yeah. Wow. So true, isn't it? It's almost like we get this, for me anyway, the life that I've been given as a result of removing alcohol from my life is so good now that even if I could drink, I don't want to. Like, I don't want
Mm-mm.
to give it up. I don't want to go back to that version of myself, even if I didn't have the consequences of the drinking as such. Even if I was able to drink in moderation, I know that it would still disrupt my ability to show up as my full self and in my authenticity as well.
Totally. And everything I've learned about it, it's like that's kind of how my brain works too. Like I'm a pretty all or nothing person, obviously.
Mm,
And just what I've learned about it, it feels like such a farce. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm like, oh, this is total bullshit. Like, we've been fed all this through marketing. This has been studied. It was literally down to a T I was being served ads, being a mom around how I deserve what that it made me mad enough that I flipped and I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm just
mm,
like disgusted by it
mm.
on top of all the other reasons why I know I could never go back to that.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy. Abby, let's talk about your photo. I've asked you to bring in a photo today from a time in your life where you were hiding behind a smile. So you were presenting one version of yourself externally, but internally you were struggling. Could you please describe for our listeners and those who may be watching the photo that I'm bringing up on the screen now? What are we looking at here? And what was really going on for you at that time in your life?
Yeah. So I chose this one because I think it's such an extreme version of what you think you're looking at versus what's really going on. And so you're seeing me in a pool in Mexico at a beautiful resort. That container I'm holding is full of alcohol. And me personally, am full of anxiety and shame and dread and misery. And I'm just on a hamster wheel. So that vacation it was just full on, just nonstop drinking. We had gone, it was two couples and they're from a different part of the country. And so, we don't get to see them very often. So we went, so it was the four of us. And it was a typical open bar, all inclusive, drink all that you can. Everybody there is drinking so much. It was just nonstop. And I would wake up just panicked with just so much anxiety, my heart racing, just couldn't even like I just couldn't believe how out of my mind anxious I felt, but would go right to drinking and then just continue that the whole time. So I was not that type of drinker at home. I was
Mhm.
more so, do the obligatory, like wait till 5 p.m. to open up the wine kind of thing and drink on the weekends. But that was somewhere where I was literally drinking around the clock, like every single day for probably like 5 days.
Mm.
I fell at one point. I got separated and fell in the rainforest thing that you know what I mean? It was like a little cobblestone thing. My knee still, you could still see the scars from it
No.
because it was like a pretty deep cut and just didn't even care to fix it. It's so emblematic of not taking care of myself, the harm that could have come my way by just being so reckless with separating myself. I'm in a foreign country. I'm a mom. I have two little boys. I'm with my husband who's trying to have a good time, but not to that level. It was a lot. And that was, I think we'll talk about this, but when people talk about rock bottoms, I say
Mm.
which one?
Yeah, right.
Because it took me a while. I wasn't getting like blackout drunk and falling and having this cut and getting lost and everybody's looking for me at this resort and drinking nonstop for 5 days. That wasn't a rock bottom. It's like, no, it was. It just
Mm,
wasn't enough yet. Like that was like one rock bottom and then I would continue on. But that was definitely one where it was hard for me to move on from that. I had
mhm,
so much shame from it. I felt terrible. It wasn't a good vacation. I mean, it's a lot of money and time away. Yeah. So on the outside, it looked like, oh, wow, look at you. And inside, it was just a total mess.
Did your husband or your friends say anything to you at the time, or was it really normalized?
It was more so just there was this kind of perception or reaction to what I was doing is I was really fun. Like,
Mm,
I wasn't typically someone that would do that and, like, get lost or cry or cause a scene. I was like, "Where are we going next?" And getting everybody up to dance, and so I really brought the energy, brought the party, so people liked it, especially
mm,
if they didn't have to deal with the aftermath. My husband had to deal more with the aftermath, but even for him, he knew it was going too far some nights, but he also knew me. And he knew that if it came from him and him saying, you got to stop this, that probably would have made me go in the other direction. Just the type of
yes.
person that I am. Don't tell me what to do. He knew it wasn't going to go. So I give him so much credit. He was really, I think, handled it the absolute best someone could at trying to make sure that I was safe while also not isolating me and making me, feel like even more shame or whatever. He was just kind of there. But looking back, he was like, oh, yeah, he was scared.
Mm. And it's almost, I love what you said about the rock bottom being, which one, because as well, I find that it's almost like we have these justified rock bottoms. I was on holiday. So, yeah, I got a little crazy. Or, yeah, but I was at my awards night. So, yeah, I got a little crazy. Or, like, whatever it is, fill in the blank. When you're stuck in that cycle, that hamster wheel, you rationalize and justify the behavior so that you don't have to see the truth of what's really underneath it all.
Totally. And I did that for, I mean, a decade longer. I mean, seriously, I've known that this was not, I didn't drink the same way other people did. I've known that for a very long time, but I didn't know what to do about it. It was kind of a mix between justifying it so I could keep going, but also there was a part of me that truly thought I'd be able to figure it out.
Same. I thought it was a moral failing, like there was something wrong with me, that maybe I just didn't have enough willpower. Like I had no idea that I was fundamentally different from other people in the way that alcohol had a reaction to my body. We were chatting about it on your podcast, right? Like physiologically, it has a different effect. When I drink, I get thirstier. When other people drink, they go, I'm not thirsty anymore.
I know. I know.
It's so black and white. And yet we don't, if you're an alcoholic or a heavy drinker, or you identify as even having alcohol use disorder, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. That is not how other people drink. Yeah. So when did you start drinking?
So, really, in high school, so I had a really tough childhood. My mom was an alcoholic. My parents got divorced. I was left alone a lot, which this is part of the healing journey that I've been on in the last year, is realizing a lot of these like deep wounds that in my efforts to survive and thrive and get out of there, I really stuffed down a lot of this. But there were like some core wounds at being left alone and not, dealing with all of that and a lot of trauma in the household. So I wasn't a big fan of alcohol, but I didn't understand it. So I
Mm,
knew what my mom was doing with drinking like her boxed wine. And I was like, okay, but that's not the same as me going out to like the bonfire and drinking beer with all my friends, right? Like it really felt like two different things. But in high school, definitely started drinking. And what I would say is what I noticed early on, once I really started, drinking, like the first couple drinks, you're like, this is disgusting or whatever. But once it starts to be like, oh, okay, was it just calmed down all of the noise in my head.
mm,
It was just a constant barrage of a lot of that criticism of myself, a lot of the fear, a lot of anxiety of not knowing. I never knew what I was coming home to at home or who was going to be home or not home. And it was just a lot. It was a lot for someone that age to be dealing with. And so I would notice when I was drinking, that would all ease down. And then all they saw was fun Abby. And people really liked that. And so I was like, this seems to be working. Okay, I'm fun. I can be like, enjoyable at these parties. I had a crew to kind of hang around. That was kind of difficult for me in high school until senior year. So I equated alcohol with quieting that noise, having fun, and being social. That's really what it was in high school. And then I went to college and I was a fish out of water at my college. So I grew up in a small rural town, but I went to a college with people from like the New York City area. They were all from private schools. It was just, I was definitely a fish out of water. And so again, alcohol was the thing that brought us all together. And I was like, well, I might not have what you have, but I can probably drink you under the table. And people thought it was cool. And
Mm,
so all through college, it was just lots of alcohol. I mean, that's what we did. That's how we socialized. It was a huge part of my life from that point on, really, at least 4 nights a week, if not more. But I was able to keep out. I was a math major and economics, like a serious track. It wasn't like I was mailing it in or not doing well at school. I was excelling, doing really well, had internships and all of that. And after school, went right into working. I worked at an investment bank and got into the financial software industry. I was living in New York City. I mean, from from the outside, you are crushing it, right?
mm,
But I was drinking so much. It's the only way I knew how to like deal with any of my anxiety. It was the only way I knew how to socialize. It was the only thing I knew to do with friends. It was my only hobby, my only interest. That took me a long time to even be able to say that. Like I carried so
mm,
much shame from that, but it was the
mm,
truth. And I think it's
mm.
important to say that in case somebody feels that way. I was there. I get it. That was it. I would go to the gym or go to like workout classes or something, but usually I'd stop on my way back home at a bar and have a glass of wine with somebody and meet somebody.
Yep.
It felt very normal.
Yeah.
That's what everybody else was doing.
And that's it, isn't it? When we socialize with other people, whether, it sounds like that environment from a work standpoint was probably, there were probably lots of big drinkers, in New York City. And then you've got the social scene, you've got your friendship circle. And over time, I did it as well. I just started to build an environment around me that mirrored my own behavior. So I then couldn't get called out. I didn't have any sober friends. No way.
My gosh, I don't even the concept wouldn't even cross my mind.
Hmm.
It was even to the degree where it was like, if you were someone that drank, but not at my level, I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to call you to go out. Like,
Yes.
I wanted it, the heavier the drinker, I was like, come on. Now, if you were a mess, like falling apart, that'd be different. But if you could like hold your own and you were doing shots with me and we're going out all night and we're staying out till 4 a.m., like, yeah, we're going to be friends. Like, this is fun. That's what I thought was fun. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted people that partied.
Do you know what I used to do? I used to go out with my friends to a club and then I'd leave them because they were big drinkers, but they weren't like me. And they would go home at a certain hour and I'd be like, okay, bye. And then I would have made friends with this seedy crowd. And then we'd kick on to the next club and there'd be lots of drugs involved. And that's just what I lived for back then. And I thought it was so normal. And again, like
I know.
you, I find there's so many similarities in our story. I used the accolades and the achievements and the outward success to disguise what was really going on and not actually, and it's not even like I had the thought of, oh, this is probably getting a bit much. You need to stop here. Like I just thought I was just going to keep going. I had no intention of ever stopping the way I was stopping until, it was almost like life just got to that point where I was like, oh my God, I actually can't keep doing this. I can't do another day of this. When
Same
was it
exact
that
thing.
when was it that you started to really see that your drinking was different and that there might be a problem here?
I always had inklings because
Mm.
same, I was always the last one. Like I never wanted to go home. I always had all of it. And a lot of it, I mean, I did, didn't really get into drugs. It was all alcohol. I
Mm.
mean, people were like, you should be studied. Like, this is like a sedative. And I was like to the moon. Like, I was just like, because I think I just felt so free from all of that anxiety. So I was like, let's just dance. But yeah, so where it really started to be like, this is not going well is after having kids,
Mm.
particularly my first, the nights out were fewer and far between. And so I really felt like, okay, this is my chance to go out. And I would go even harder. I didn't even know that was an option given what I was doing, but I would go even harder to the point where it was like, I mean, like blacking out, no idea what's going on, really being a mess. And like people that I had known me for 10 years or so are like, trying to get me home, calling my husband. It's like, I'm married. I have a very established career. I have a little baby and they're calling him because I keep jumping out of Ubers and it's just like, this is a disaster. Just an aside. I had a thing when I was really drunk, particularly blacked out, where I thought the Ubers were kidnapping me
Mm.
and you couldn't convince
Great.
me otherwise. And so I'd call my
No.
husband in the back of the Uber and be like, I don't know where he's taking me, but I'm being kidnapped. And the Uber driver would be like, I'm not kidnapping her. She's fine. I'm
Nah.
headed to your. It was like this whole thing. Like I've jumped out of them in New York. Like I've just been like, oh, I just got to cut and run at like a red light. And then people are like, where is she? Because then I'm like on the loose in Manhattan. And it's like, at least when she was in the Uber, we knew where she was. Now she's like somewhere, I don't even know.
I
So
get
that was
that
like a whole
though.
other thing. Yeah.
There's like a paranoid delusion that happens. Again, do you know what used to happen to me? I would totally get that. Like I would be like, all of a sudden, I'd get paranoid and think that a taxi driver or something was going to try and hurt me. Or I'd get really jealous and I'd see my
Mm.
boyfriend at the time talking to a girl and it would be like, I'd see red and I would be convinced that something was going on. Sober Ash, fine, totally fine. Have all the girlfriends you want. Like, I mean, platonically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it just wasn't a thing. And then put a few drinks in me, it was like a complete change in my personality.
I know. I
Ugh.
know. It was so bad. I'm like, what is that about? Well, I
Mm.
always said now the jig is up, but I'm like, the day I get kidnapped, I'm going to be like, I told you this
I
is
knew
what
this
was
was coming.
happening.
Okay, so back to you were jumping out of Ubers.
Yes, yes. And so it just was getting really messy. And as I was getting older and, the drinking was fewer and fewer apart, these hangovers were lasting weeks and the shame spiral and the anxiety. And it just started to get really dark, like even, more so than before because I didn't have all this time to recover. I couldn't lounge around. I had responsibilities. I had a little baby. But I ended up having my second son. The drinking was still it was just something I was constantly battling. And it was taking up so much headspace. And I was just getting so sick of it. And I would say another rock bottom, and this was kind of the one towards the end, was in our neighborhood, we go around for Halloween. And we have like wagons, and everybody would carry like a little thermos of wine or whatever they're drinking. And that Halloween, we ended up at our neighbor's house, and she had a bonfire. And I woke up the next morning and I didn't remember walking my 5-year-old home. Didn't
Mm.
remember. And I grew up with an alcoholic mother. I know the trauma that caused. I was just like, I refuse to do this. I would rather, at that point, I had no idea what sobriety looked like, but I was like, I would rather live a life of misery for myself, but give my kids the safety of knowing that I'm there for them and I'm not going to put them in harm's way and I love them. Like, I will do that. This is too far. And so over the next couple days, that was December 31st, 2023, and my sobriety date is 11/11/2023. But those days, I might have had a glass of wine or something, but it was like I was disgusted and I was like, this just isn't going to work. I haven't been able to moderate this. I haven't been able to keep this in my life. It's just not going to work. And so on 11/11, I decided to do 100-day challenge and kicked that off. It, that, you know, That's it. I'm
And you're
approaching
still going.
2 years. Yeah.
Goodness, Abby, that is just incredible. Like, why 100 days? I'm curious.
So I actually had started listening to your podcast. Oh my
Yay.
gosh, it's just so surreal. But I started listening to some of these because it was the first time I had ever heard someone speak about drinking and talk about it how I felt about it. The
Mm,
good, the bad, the ugly. I can't sit here and say, like, I could laugh and tell you stories that would have us like rolling on the ground. Like there were and are good memories from it. There was a reason I did it for so long, right? The bad, my gosh, the ugly, and just this torment of trying to figure this out and just feeling so trapped and so frustrated and full of shame and anxiety. And I had never heard somebody talk about it like that.
mm,
And so I started listening to people's sober stories. And so I
mm,
was listening to all of those, and I heard a lot of people talking about doing like 100 days or 90 days, something like that. And so that just stuck in my mind. And I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was like, I never wanted to drink again, but I wanted to use that to tell people because I couldn't answer any questions. I couldn't, like, what do you mean you're done drinking? Whatever. So it was so much easier for me to say, I'm doing a 100-day challenge.
yeah.
I marathon trained before. I ran a marathon, so people knew I'm into like health stuff, which is like so ironic given what I was doing to my body. But I was like on the outside into health stuff. So it wasn't that outlandish to be like, oh, she's doing like a health challenge or a fitness thing. And so it got people off my back because I was not strong enough early on to be like, oh, yeah, I'm sober. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was like such a party animal. I could not have handled that. So it just gave me that room to figure that out. But pretty much the whole time, I knew it was going to be a sober thing.
Mm, mm,
It was so incredibly hard early on, too. So I think in a way it did help me, too, to be like, listen, if you literally can't do this, you got 100 days. But once I got to the
yeah.
end, I was like, I'm going to keep going.
And maybe that's the thing. Like, if you're so deadly serious about it and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do 100 days and you can't do 100 days, then it's like, okay, well, now we need to outsource and get that help, whether that looks like, detox or rehab or what, really calling in the team. In that 100-day period, what support did you have?
It was crazy. I mean, not a lot. And I wish I did. I will say that. Like no one gave me a medal for suffering through that by myself. I shouldn't have. I made it harder on myself. It was a roller coaster. Those early days, I was in full on withdrawal for sure. Borderline probably was a little bit dangerous. I would never tell somebody to do that.
Mm,
Just take all the resources that are available to you. Like
mm,
it's
mm,
absolutely crazy. I was just so convinced though. Like I was terrified of being labeled an alcoholic or
mm,
reaching out. It's another thing I'm working on now is reaching out for help or asking for
mm,
help because I didn't have that. I had 38 years of doing things like to survive and for
mm.
myself and by myself. I didn't even have the tools to ask for help. I didn't even know what that looked like. I'm currently learning.
And I think as well the shame, right? Like shame keeps us in secrecy. Shame keeps us from reaching out and asking for help. And particularly, I'd love to touch on this, Abby, the shame that mothers experience. Just put your hand up and say, I have a problem with alcohol when you're a mother. I just think it receives this added layer of stigma, which is so unfair. What did you experience with that?
Oh my gosh. I mean, really, it took me a long time to even be able to talk about it. For the longest time, I was just like, listen, I'm doing this 100-day challenge. And then after that, it
Mm,
was like, oh, no, I didn't have a problem because that's what people would say. I didn't know you had a problem. It's like, oh my
mm,
gosh, don't say that to somebody. It's like, so I didn't own it. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, whatever. And this is what I did. I was just like, oh, I didn't. No, it's just a health choice. Like, I just tried to excuse my way out of it because I didn't want that label. I didn't want to carry that shame. I didn't want to be ostracized or have it impact my kids or, them wanting their kids to play with my kids. I mean, there's so much fear wrapped up into that. I didn't want
mm,
that label.
mm.
But what I'm doing now is really right in that space. Like, I truly believe that if we can change that and we're part of that change of let's talk about it. Like,
Mm,
let's get this out in the open. This does not have to be so full of shame. Look how many people there's not one person on this earth that is not touched by this, whether it's a
mm,
parent, a sibling, a friend, someone close. I'm not talking about like a neighbor down the road. I'm talking close. Everybody listening to this, everybody is touched
mhm,
by this. But for some
mhm,
reason, we try to act like we're not. And
mm,
I, I just won't accept that. And so I really went from being like, oh, no, 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 I didn't have a thing to now I'm like, you know what? I want to be part of the change because I think if we are able to change that stigma, it's going to save people. I think a
mm,
lot of people stay in unhealthy circles with drinking or cycles with drinking because they're scared of what that could potentially mean. So it's like, let's
mm.
change this up. It does not need to be like this. And
Yeah, it's so true. I was just thinking about this the other day. This idea that I truly believe that the majority of people here in Australia, at least, have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And the reason is because life is really hard. And so we're using it to numb. And I'm really grateful for my rock bottom and for this dismantling of my old life because I've woken up. I've had this awakening and I get to live this really different life today as a result of that. And I was thinking about how many people I wish would just listen to an episode of my podcast or your podcast or someone else's. Like, I just wish they'd be open to receiving this information. But I guarantee you, they see my stuff come up on social media and they scroll straight past it because they're like, either I don't have a problem. So there's complete denial and acknowledgement, or I don't want to look at this. And
right.
often, when you see something online that triggers you, it's because there's something in it. It doesn't hit your stuff if there's not something there to hit. And it's this idea of like, yes, there's this part of me that wants to really champion it and be a warrior and shake people and be like, there is a better way of life. Like, come join us. This is so good. But then there's this other part of me that is also just really accepting that someone can only meet you at the level that they're at. And for some people, this lifetime, it's not going to be there. They're not ready to step into this awakening. They're not ready, or it just seems too hard. And I guess that's okay as well. But, for anyone that is maybe contemplating it, like I would say, just give it a go because I've never met anyone before who has removed alcohol from their life and thought to themselves, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Like, it
I
just doesn't
know.
happen.
I know. And I couldn't agree with you more. What
Mm,
I said before with my husband, if he would have been like, "Hey, you should listen to these sobriety podcasts," I would have been like, "How dare you?"
mm,
Right?
yes. Yeah.
It has to click, right? And so I never want to come across as like preachy or like do what I do or something like that. It's more so like, let me show you how I'm living my life now and in a way that you're going to be like, "Hmm, how are you doing that?" Or, "Oh, that
Mm,
looks pretty good." Or, "Let me tell you about my life. Let me tell you about my journey." And that's what really ended up breaking through finally to me.
mm,
It
mm.
wasn't someone telling me, "You need to stop drinking because of this, this, or this." You could give me all the health statistics in the world, and let's be honest, I was breezing past them. But what broke through the noise was hearing other people's stories and seeing myself in them.
Yes, it's so true. We say in 12-step recovery, it's attraction, not promotion, and just having the identification in someone else's story is what often gives us the courage, the conviction to go, okay, mate, will you see yourself in someone else? And it's like, if they can get sober and they can be happy, maybe I can too. It's so, so true, isn't it? I want to know, how have your relationships changed now that you're sober?
They've changed a lot. I think I didn't realize kind of to the degree of what I was putting up with, in a lot of different things and just being kind of okay of, all right, this is what it is and that's fine. And I just kind of took it for what I was handed. I wasn't actively going out and seeking what brought me joy. I wasn't going out and seeking these relationships where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you get me and I just like am obsessed with you." Like I just didn't have those kind of things. Like it was like I wasn't actively fully living my life because
Mm,
as long as alcohol was there, I was like, "That's good. That's fine. This is fine." And so now my relationships, I'm like, I can't stop but like smile when I think about the people I've met in sobriety because it's like,
mm,
my gosh, like when I see a text from them, like my whole person lights up. When I'm going on a walk with them, it's like nonstop talking over each other and blah, 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 and just like so excited. Can't wait for the next thing. It's just I'm lit up, which is so funny because that's kinda like what you say when someone's drunk, they're lit, right? But it's
totally.
true. It's
Yes.
like I
Yes.
just feel totally lit up with my relationships. I feel like I'm so much more intentional with what we're doing together, what we're planning.
Mm,
And what's interesting is the ones that have spanned, right? So I'm people that were with me when I was a big drinker and now those have changed too in a way that was a little bit awkward at first.
yes.
It's just kind of like just so used to like sitting there and you want another drink, whatever. But what I've seen is like there are a lot of similarities. Like I just love like shooting the shit. I love just sitting
Mm,
around and talking and just seeing where the conversation goes. But I can tell that there's just a degree also of I'm not just there to be, I mean, clown is probably a little bit too much. I wasn't like a clown, but I was just always the one that was like going to take it to the next level. And I think people kind of look around for me now like, are you going to take it to the next level kind of thing? It's like, no, I'm not here to like amuse you. Like I'm not like the
yeah,
entertainment. You know what I mean? Like I
totally.
feel more like an equal in a way that I
Mm,
didn't feel before.
that's really nice. And I imagine as well being more comfortable in your skin now because you're able to be more authentic. And it's okay if you're quiet. It's okay if, you can show up. I always like all of you is welcome in the space with true friendship. Like you don't have to be performing. I think I used to perform for everyone. It was just like a maladaptive coping mechanism that I've let fall away now. And it's really nice because I think the friendships that I have now are so much more authentic as a result of that. Yeah.
And there's still part of me that's very you know what I mean? Like I want to like whatever, but I don't feel like
Yeah.
I have to. If
That's the
there's a lull
difference.
in the conversation, if the energy kind of gets low, I don't feel like it's on my shoulders to figure it
Yes.
out. And that was a little bit hard, I think, for some people. But now, like, everyone kind of like gets it. It's different, but I feel so much better. It's like the weight of the
Yes.
world was lifted off my shoulders.
It's incredible. And I'm curious to know, we're very close to Christmas now and it's a tricky time of year to navigate, particularly in early sobriety, but I'm not going to lie, like this is my gosh, what? Hang on, let me figure this out. This is my 6th sober Christmas and I still find it a little tricky. I don't know if that's also because I've got the complexity of my birthday at the same time, but yeah, like I'm actually getting firmer and firmer in my boundaries and what I show up for the longer I've been sober because otherwise I know that if I keep saying yes to things I want to say no to, like I'm abandoning myself in that and I can't afford to do that. I'm curious, do you have any tips on navigating the holiday season? Like is it tricky for you? How have you sort of adapted to this?
Yeah. So what's interesting is my sobriety date is 11/11/2023. So I went right into the holidays.
Which when you said that before, I was thinking to myself, God, that's bold. Like,
Oh,
most people would be like, I'll start in the new year.
I know. I know. And that's what everyone's like, that's great you're doing this 100-day challenge. Why in the world would you do it over the holidays? You know what I mean? Like that was what everybody was saying to me. And I'm like, it wasn't really my like I have
Yeah,
to kind of thing, you
exactly
know?
right. But also, you get through that, you get through anything, right?
I will say that it really did like it was hard. Oh my gosh. I was like out of my skin, like just like so uncomfortable that first Christmas. I really, really was. That was hard. That was just getting through and taking care of yourself, be kind to yourself. I think I cried a lot and had to like lay down a lot. I mean, I was just really, I was very early on. I was like in detox probably still.
It's like raw, right? Like you feel like
Yeah.
you've been skinned or like your insides are on your outsides. Like it's just, yeah, everything's sensitive. I get that. I still
It
feel
was
that way
really
sometimes.
tough. I do too sometimes. I know. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh
yeah.
my gosh." But yeah, so that first one was really tough. So then the next one, I had like over a year under my belt, and that was a lot better. That was more so like I had my alternative. So I've noticed for me, a lot of it is having something in my hand and having something to drink. I love having like all kinds of drinks. I've always been like that. And I still am. Like I'll have, go out to something and I have like three different drinks in front of me. And I just love drinks. I don't know. I'm like a beverage girl. So I always make sure I have lots of options, lots of pretty glassware. I want to feel special. It's like the ritual.
Mm,
It feels special. I feel included. It's not just drinking water. That would make me feel like I wasn't part of the party. So at
mm,
first I was like, this is kind of silly. Am I really going to spend all this? Oh, heck yeah. And now all of these non-alc options are so good. It's like
mm.
I don't feel like I'm drinking sugary things. They're like complex, really awesome like things that you could put together. So definitely having that kind of ready, both at home, but also when you're going to parties. So never
Yes.
showing up to a party and just assuming they're going to have something for you. I think eventually
Mhm,
we'll get there, but
mm.
I just always make sure I have an in excess of what I'm going to drink, just in case somebody wants some.
Yes, it's so true because you might get to a party and God bless the host has, bought you a non-alcoholic option and it's like one can of diet soda or something. And you're like, great, well, I'm going
Yeah.
to be here for the next 4 hours. What am I going to do after this for 20 minutes?
Yes. And
Yes,
again,
bringing
just being
excess.
totally, and just being very realistic, like, it's like, there's nothing wrong with liking a lot of beverages. Like, it's like, I just always feel like I was so hard on myself for everything, and it's like, no, it's just, this is what I like. I like to constantly have something in my hand. I happen to drink a lot, so I'm gonna need to bring a lot. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
What I love as well, Abby, as you're sharing this is it's so practical and obvious, but it's also radical responsibility. Like, in no part of this are you saying, like, I think a lot of people might get, look, I'll talk from my own experience. Like, there's points where I've thought to myself, well, this isn't fair, or, I'm the only one not drinking, or they should have thought about provide like, and it's like, no, 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 cut the self pity. This is your decision. You no longer drink alcohol. So you make sure that you've got enough drinks for you. It's not up to the host. They've probably juggled 1,000 other things to get this event underway. It's really is about stepping up and protecting your sobriety and taking accountability for that, not expecting everyone else to do it for you.
That's the big thing. I mean, it is just so important to me, and so is having a good time. I'm gonna be
Mm.
honest. It's important to me for the sobriety. It's important to me to have a good time at this party and feel a part of it. So I am going to set myself up for success. If they also have, amazing. There's no harm in over preparing. And I just make it a thing. And most of the time, I'm so jazzed up about whatever it is. People are like, well, I want to try this. Like, what are you doing? Because I'm just like bringing that energy and stuff. So then people are all drinking like non alc, sparkling wine.
Mocktails and yeah. No, it's so true, isn't it? Yes, you can have fun with it and get people involved and not feel like you're apart from. It's really important to feel
Yeah.
connected to the space in some way.
Totally. Even my family now, like they, were always drinking and stuff like that, not in a normal way. They were normies, but they started putting, they're like, wait, but this like NA Stella or whatever, or NA Bex is actually really good. So why would I'm just going to have that? Or what? And I'm like, I'm not telling anybody to do this. They're just
Mm.
seeing it. And I think that goes back to what you're saying. It's more like attraction rather than how to,
Yeah. Or even I've seen people alternate. So they'll have one normal beer and then they'll have an AF. And, like that's great because then you're reducing that hangover the next day and how you're going to show up for your
totally.
family and for yourself and for life. So yeah, it's cool that we've got so many options now as well.
I know, I know. So that's what I would say on like the drinks and party front.
Mm.
Also making sure you have a way out, like we were
Mm.
saying kind of at the start of the episode, like if you start feeling that like uncomfortable and you'll just know, bail. It's not worth
Get
it.
out.
Get out. Just there's a reason. I've really started to learn to trust my intuition, which I was always
Mm,
like, what? I'm like, this is amazing. I have like a lot or almost all the answers right within myself. So if I
yes.
start to feel that, it's like, that's guiding me. That's helping me. That's not something to
Mm,
push down or try to silence or numb. You listen to
mm,
that
mm.
and it's leading you in the right direction. So don't feel like you're stuck. Always have kind of that out. Whoever you're going with, have an open dialogue around what's going on, what you anticipate, if you need to leave early, what's their plan. Just talk it out, especially early on. Like a lot of
Yeah.
times, if you feel like, oh, I don't want to have that conversation because it's going to make them feel uncomfortable or whatever, you're just that's not setting yourself up for success. That's potentially letting things turn out horribly. It's like by having one conversation, you're getting this all set up for you to maximize the potential for you to have a really good time.
I completely agree. I think having a plan and having someone that you can share the plan with is paramount to success. So, whether that is a friend or a sponsor or your coach or whoever it is, checking in with them before you go, driving yourself if possible. I mean, if you don't have a car, then that's not going to be possible. But if you do have your own form of transportation, driving yourself, because there is nothing worse than being stuck somewhere waiting for someone else to want to leave, even if they're not driving either. But you've said, oh, we live close, let's get a lift together. You be the one that drives and or go by yourself, because then you're not having to wait for them to have had enough. Like you can really take that independence back. And then I say to women who I mentor, I want you to check in with me again at the end, whether it's a voice note or you want to give me a quick call, but it's just tying the bow on the evening. Sometimes it's good just to be able to share the experiences and the emotions, like we said at the start of the show. Like we're learning how to deal with all of these emotions in sobriety. So just having someone who you can share and go, yeah, I was feeling this and then I felt this, and like it's just so important for that integration and that processing to be able to share it with someone else as well. So I totally want to echo that point. Have a plan, have an exit strategy, take your own drinks, and yeah, more than anything, really listen to your own gut. How do you cultivate a connection with your intuition?
So it's been a lot of slowing down, meditating, a lot of meditating. I had no idea what meditation even was. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was like, looks good, sounds good. No idea. Like, it's such a foreign concept to me. I couldn't even sit by myself. Like, I was just so far away from it. And so just being able to sit and just like check in, I almost do like a body scan.
Mm,
I'll do that several times a day and just kind of feel what's going on with me. Just closing my eyes, focusing on my breath. I'll start to get a feel of what's going on. And
yes.
it has a way of then trickling in where you don't have to be necessarily that intentional with it. And that's where I've gotten now. I still do the body scan. I'll even do that, like, I just get excited about something. It's not always negative. I'll get so excited about something. I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, let's just kind of bring this down a little bit. Like, it's just, I get really up there. But I start to notice sensations from doing that. That almost teaches me, oh, that's what that feels like. Or, okay. So now I'm more aware of it. So when I'm in certain situations, I'm like, I feel it. I feel what's going on. Even if it's not quiet, I don't have my eyes closed or anything like that. I'm so much more aware of it that I'm like, yep, I got it. I got what's coming up
Mm,
and I can act accordingly. But it's
mm.
been a lot of taking that time to slow down, meditate. And my morning pages are like just the best thing that have ever happened to me, pretty much
Yes.
getting all of that out. I think I didn't even realize what I was thinking most of the time. It was just these swirling thoughts. So now I take three pages every single morning where I journal about how I'm feeling, what's going on, really just stream of consciousness. And it has been so eye-opening to what's kind of going on within me.
Such powerful tools. I've had the exact same experience. I love that you're so honest about your first experience with meditation, being like, yeah, looks good, sounds good. I know other people do it. So true, though. I think that it's become, almost for some people, it's really intimidating and it feels really intangible. But it's not. It is the most accessible thing in the world. It's free. You can do it at any point throughout the day. And there's no such thing as being good or bad. All there is consistency. And if you're doing that body scan once, twice, three times a day, you're absolutely right. It's then when you're out in the world dealing with real world issues that all of a sudden you're going to feel that sense of intuition, of guidance, of something greater than you that's going to help direct your thinking and keep you safe and protected. That's all it is. I never really in meditation finish going, that was a good meditation. Like, oh, that was successful, or that was, what it was. It's not like that. It's in the
Right.
after, it's in the showing up into real life that I know my practice is giving me that steady foundation. So thank you for being so honest about that. I absolutely love it. And then the journaling, 100%. Showing up for your journaling and doing stream of consciousness writing where you don't even know what you're going to say. It's amazing, isn't it? Like if you just put pen to paper and you just start writing, I don't know what I'm going to write right now. I'm hoping so. And then all of a sudden, bleh, it comes and you just write. And that's all this stuff that you've been carrying up here in your mind that is now out, and you're lighter as a result of it.
And to start
Yeah.
your day like that, I'm just showing up. And then I never understood when people had these morning routines. I would just beat myself up and I'm like, well, I can't stay consistent. I can't do the
Mm,
same
mm.
thing I had all of these reasons. And really it's just doing it to the point where I don't think about it now. Like
Yeah.
I just had
Yeah.
to stay consistent for as long. I don't even think about it. I do the same exact thing literally every morning, but now that includes meditation and morning pages, and it doesn't feel like, oh, now I have to go on to step that. It doesn't even feel like anything. It's just an as natural as me getting up out of bed. I do all of
Mm,
these things, but it sets up my day where I'm actually present
mm.
and I can step in intentionally, not in this rat race, chaotic, never feel like I'm catching up kind of vibe, which is what I had done for my
Yeah.
entire life up until now.
It's really cool, isn't it? What I take from that is, just start small and build on it, like maybe it's just 5 minutes of conscious breathing to begin with. And then you add the meditation, or then you add the pages. And consistency is so important because then I'm sure there are days where you're halfway through your meditation, Abby, and one of your little boys is like, mama, mama, mama. And then rather than that really disorientating you and thinking, well, my whole day's out of whack now because I didn't get to finish my meditation, it's like, okay, my son needs me right now. I'm going to stop meditating, but I know I'm going to be okay because I've done this consistently for the last however many days, weeks, months, years. Like one day disrupted is not going to throw off my world.
Oh, not at all. I mean, it comes back so naturally the next day. Like it just you won't
Mm,
even think about it. But yeah, stuff comes up or someone will knock on the door or something like that. And a lot of times I can just come right back and it's fine. Or if not, it's like, okay. And then you just pick it up the next day. It's not this all or nothing. You got to win at it and be the best and excel. It's like finally for once in my life, this is something that I just do, and I just can be and just get it out there, and it's a routine. It's just something as I don't even really think about it. That has really helped me.
so cool. I hope people listening along today, if you're not trying those practices, like just give it a go. Try, tomorrow morning, just starting with, a little meditation, whether it's a, free meditation on Insight Timer, or even if you just sit in stillness for a couple of minutes, a body scan, like Abby said, that's really accessible. You don't need anything but your mind for that. And yeah, just see the shifts and what happens. It's really, really cool. Abby, I have loved chatting with you today. And I know that this will not be the last time that we talk. But as we near the end of the conversation, there's one final question that I have for you. And I feel like it's a perfect segue from what we've just been talking about. Maybe one of those will enter into this. What are your 3 non-negotiables that allow you to live your life today happy, authentic, and free?
I mean, definitely no alcohol.
Mm,
That is like I feel like what all of this has that I've built upon. Um, Non-negotiable. That's absolutely staying true to myself and following that gut. I am so connected to that. It's a non-negotiable for me, and I'll give you a quick example of what I mean. Kind of in this career transition that I'm in and pivot and trying to find this next thing. There are going to be some things that I do. You got to make money. And even if to support what I'm doing and so forth and everything, but I will not do something where my gut and my intuition is screaming no. If it's whether it's a person, the type of work it is, just a feel, because I fully trust that. I know what that is now. that's a non-negotiable, that has to be aligned for me. And then I think just being really honest about what I want out of life.
My goodness, we were just talking about your beautiful boys and one's joined us.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, sweetie. He's here for the end here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just being really honest with myself about what I want out of life and going for it. There's
Mm,
none of this playing it safe or taking the easy road or sitting back. Like I now can see what I'm able to do, and
mm.
it's a non-negotiable for me. I'm just going to go for it.
I love that. I love that. And I adore you. And just seeing you right now in this moment with your son, it just warms my heart so much. Like
Oh,
you're right in it and you're so honest and so authentic with how you show up. So thank you for your time today. Abby,
thank
I know people are going to
you.
want to track you down. So where should they go?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram the most. So at
Yes.
Alcohol Free Abby on Instagram. And then my podcast, The Alcohol Free Rebellion. You can see all the video on Spotify. So if you have Spotify, that's great, but you can listen anywhere where you get your podcasts. And yeah, those are the two
Amazing.
best places.
Cool. Well, I'll make sure that I link both of those in the episode show notes. We say here on Behind the Smile that when we recover loudly, no one needs suffer in silence. So thank you so much for being here today, my love.
Thank you so much. This was so lovely.
The best. Bye.
Say bye.